So today we're going to talk about Fantom, a project that has done very, very well, has got great traction in the market. So let's do a brief overview. Hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, subscribe, bell button, leave a like. It majorly helps. Now this is a coin that is going parabolic at the moment. It has been for a while. I've been talking about it ages ago as a good ecosystem. And we're starting to see over the last, coming months, a few coins doing very well. We've had Avalanche, we've had Solana, we've also had Fantom and others to mention that have done well due to the scalability problems of Ethereum. No coincidence that most of these projects are Ethereum compatible, which is why they've done well, which is why I believe the likes of Polkadot, Moonriver, Moonbeam, etc., will probably do well because they'll also do the same sort of thing. Network effect is key when you've got cheap fees, scalable solutions, and most importantly, people wanting to use them. So today, we're going to do it brief. It's going to be easy. It's going to be nice nice for you to learn, and we'll do some price analysis at the end. So make sure if you like these videos, give it a like. It majorly helps. So let's enjoy. So here we are, Fantom. Pretty cool branding, I know. Now, as I've said, a lot of people are now talking about this, so it's good to cover it, just so you know. Could it still run? Probably, most likely. So just be careful in terms of buying opportunities, but we will go over those at the end in terms of price analysis, because I have talked about it and it's done very well since. Now, again, disclaimer, not sponsored content. This is everything from the approved sources, and most importantly, do your own research before you invest. I am not a financial advisor, and also I do not invest in this project. However, it's cool. So what is it? Why does it matter? Why are people getting so interested in it overall? And you got the element here of the three most popular things: the speed of it, the security element of it, and the scalability. Performance matters. Fantom is a fast, high throughput, open source, smart contract platform for digital assets and dApps. Now, there's a lot of elements to that. It is incredibly fast. It is also pretty secure with the staking elements and elements around the token, which we will talk about later on, and also its scalability. It is also incredibly cheap. It's probably one of the cheapest blockchains out there. So yeah, it ticks all the boxes for an absolute perfect solution for the crap of Ethereum, which we all know not very good, even though people whinge at me moaning about it. So why Fantom? Fantom's consensus protocol delivers unparalleled speed, security, and reliability, right? Almost instant transfers. Fantom's transfers and transactions are finalized in a second, and it costs a fraction of a cent. Wow. Not many blockchains do that, especially when they've got smart contracts. Smart contracts are traditionally quite bloaty and have a lot of data. So usually about 5 to 6 seconds is usually the average. 1 second, pretty good, right? Simply secure. Validator nodes form a global, trustless, leaderless proof of stake network. So essentially they can't, you can't have issues like forks. That's what I was going to say. There we go. Highly scalable. So Fantom can process thousands of transactions per second and scale to thousands of nodes. So that scalability element is huge. We all know what happens when Ethereum gets cloggy, gets expensive. It also takes a lot of time. And then you've obviously got the Ethereum compatibility. So you can deploy and run the Ethereum dApps on the ecosystem, which is actually massive. To be fair, it's growing. So as I mentioned, the ecosystem, we're currently at 124 dApps, right? A lot of these dApps as well have a lot of their own dApps within them, so it's kind of like a bit of a pyramid in some ways. And you can see here it is growing. It's already getting a ton of transactions going through. Now you can see I know it's pretty faint in terms of the line, but you can see that if you look at like roughly September, October time when it started to get traction, so did the price. And this is why I talk a lot about network effect, which I will come on to in more detail at the end of this because it's important. The more and more things that are going to go on this and other ecosystems as well that are getting the utility usage out of the token, price will usually appreciate, especially in a bullish market. So we can see here a little bit of an example of what's on there, but the total value locked up in Fantom at the minute is $7.7 billion. That is pretty damn impressive in my opinion. and it'll probably get even bigger as we go on. Moving on to the obvious, building. The dApps, the building structure, what can you use? Now, the fact that it is, the language fitting of Ethereum makes it much easier. The supporting of the Ethereum virtual machine, allowing you to utilize dApps like Ethereum, building on the Ethereum network via your dApps using Remix, Truffle, MetaMask, etc., 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 is important. This is why I'm backing the likes of, Moonbeam on Polkadot. I think it'll be very, very similar. I think we'll see the same sort of price appreciation as the ecosystem builds up. And you can see that very, very clearly with the likes of Avalanche, with Solana, and others to mention regarding price rising. And Fantom is the third one to do it. So the Ethereum compatibility is huge, right? So to deploy an Ethereum contract at literally higher performance, less cost, and faster. Wow, why not? Oracles, so integrations of Chainlink and Band protocol, hugely important. It's open source, so the code is completely open source. Anyone can read it, check on the progress, comment, and help also build. If anyone is looking for a career on any protocol, look at the career site. There is so much out there that you may well find, well, I can actually do that. You should get involved. And obviously robust APIs, the graph, subgraphs and stuff like that. There's also a few others out there as well. But the ability to build and have explorers or even data analyst tools, hugely important, especially when it's communicating with other blockchains too. Now, staking. I know everyone likes a bit of staking. I do. I'm a massive passive income boffin. Up to 13% per year. That is if you are doing it for a year. By the way, if you want to do it as you go, it's around 4% of your capital, which is pretty cool. So you can choose whether you want to do a long year one or, a lot less. Now, a lot of people get put off by that. I know a lot of people get put off by like Polkadot and, other ones out there with like 21 or 28 day unbonding periods. But this is a year. So just make sure you understand that. So yes, it's great. If you're a long-term hodler and you've been holding for a long time and you're getting 13%, you might be pretty happy with that. However, remember, taking profits. If I was to do it, I would separate, if that makes sense. I would try and have some capital available just in case things go too high. You always need to take something off the table. You can compound it, so you can compound the rewards, so that's always a good tool. And the unlocking liquidity, allowing you to utilize the FTM token to basically yield farm on the platform, which is hugely important, especially if you're using like the Curve as an example. Now, the token itself, okay, where it gets a little bit geeky. So the FTM is the primary token. There's not two tokens like the last video I did, there's only one. And it is used for securing the network, for staking, for governance, payments, and fees, as explained in this bit here. So obviously network fees, transactional cost, deploying of smart contracts, creating new networks. That element is there, right? That element of network fees is probably the most important thing of a utility of a token, the ability to work. Not all tokens have this, right? Securing the network, again, another thing, not all tokens have this. The FTM token, the ability for the proof of stake system. To participate as a validator, nodes need to hold up to, or a minimum of, 3.1 million, basically, of the FTM token, which is quite a lot. On-chain governance, obviously, a decentralized asset needs to have some governance. On-chain governance is the most important, and I love it. Full permissionless, leaderless, decentralized ecosystem, which is what you want. You do not want one central head having a bit of a wobble and doing something wrong. We've seen that with tokens recently. Payments, obviously, right? The ability to send payments quickly, high throughput, low fees, hugely important, and it keeps the ecosystem running. And let's talk about the supply. The supply is currently 3.17 billion, 3.175 billion, there we go. And a lot of it is like kind of reserved for staking rewards. I think it's over 2 years it'll kind of like come out into supply slowly. And as always, because it's an Ethereum-led kind of language, it is a native token. It's also available as ERC20 and also BEEP20, but I missed off that little bit. If you can zoom in, you can probably see how the ecosystem looks and how it works with obviously the proof of stake, the governance, the ecosystem, the obviously the holders and stuff, and the utilization of transactions, and obviously adoption, which kind of brings me to this bit here, which is important, right? The network effect. Why adoption is important, why we're seeing a massive spike over the last coming months. And it has been growing. Obviously, this is only the last 3 months, but if it was over a year, you'd probably see a lot more detail. But the transactions are rapidly growing. You can see that already, and it already has, the value of the asset has appreciated due to it. because it's obvious. It's obvious. The more people that utilize it, the more dApps are getting built on it, the more use case of that alone is always going to create that utility of the token, which creates its value, right? And then obviously more people want to stake it, more people want to do stuff with it because they're getting more aware of it, which is why I'm doing videos, because people are aware and want to know it. So let's to end, obviously, we're going to do a little bit of price analysis, just a quick glance into what is actually happening. Maybe a bit of FOMO-y, so just be careful, but nothing to take away from the asset itself. So here we are. We are on the weekly time frame, and I've did analysis on this on my Patreon not too long ago, but we have formed a new higher high. We will be coming back down now, for now, and we'll see where the structure leads us, probably into an obvious higher low, and then maybe continue going up. Depends on obviously the market, right? You know, you can see here on this bottom bit here, this is the total market cap, the whole entire world of the, you know, the economy of cryptocurrency, how much they're worth. Currently below the EMA, it's not great, but we've got to look at some obvious stuff here, right? For obvious reasons, let's look at this top to this bottom. And as I say, right, and this is why it's important, we may well have corrected a little bit too early, maybe, so we might be pulled back a little bit, but we have created a high. Obviously this wick is kind of a bit subjective, but body closure above is always key in my opinion. I'd rather have a body closure, and this was a massive clang out of a candle by the way, above the previous highs, even though it is a wick. Going down to like the 3-day, for example, you'll see how it kind of rejected, but we're still above that previous levels of structure, so it does look pretty okay at the moment, but we may well start to see a correction. But it does look good. I mean, if you're looking at this as a solid asset, but as I've said, right, when I was talking about it in terms of like where we've actually been, you know, since like September time, we started getting a lot of traction in transactions, and the price just massively appreciated. This has done a huge run, and we'll go back and look at that, because if we're looking at this low to this high, we pulled right the way back down to a perfect 618 level, and now we're on our way. We may well actually be continuing this move still. We may well pull back a little bit overall on the weekly, but we may well be looking to go towards $4 or $5 here. And that could be absolutely monstrous. And we're thinking we're at all-time high levels here. We could go much, much higher. So there's all kinds of levels up there, which we could be looking at, essentially, in my opinion. So as I've said there, we've got levels all the way up here, roughly $4.16, $4.50, $4.98. That could still be hit, definitely. So it's definitely not run yet. It's still looking like a pretty positive kind of uptrend. Looking at the daily, for example, it's still looking relatively good. Huge correction, a nice little correction, but now we're back into an uptrend, and we'll see where we go. But if we break above, essentially, if we're breaking above these wicks here, it's again another blue sky breakout situation where we could be going much higher. Certainly for me, it's of interest, but it's looking good. Impulse, pullback, off we go. And if we're going to look at the daily time frame, we're going to look from this low to this high. You know, we've pulled right the way back in. We're just above this level here. We could be on our way up to $3.66 or $4.40 anyways. $4.30 even. So it's looking good. I'm happy with that. Anyways, if you enjoyed this video, let me know. If you want to check out my Patreon, you get more videos like this. Obviously more price analysis and stuff. But I will also put on my overview files, which you've just witnessed and watched, so you can download them. Anyways, enjoy.